Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are Group D, and I'm Cousin. And today our topic is whether this classical Chinese philosophy left room for the development of theoretical science, and our stand is it did. And first of all, we need to talk about the histories of Chinese philosophy. Chinese philosophy acts as the explanations of the nature, and it affects the behaviors of the Chinese, and it exists as early as 1600 BC, and its function is as the foundation regarding the roles of ancestral spirit and the history of the wisdom, and it influenced the thinking and mindset of the Chinese. So we can see there is a relationship between this philosophy and the mindset and thinking, and there is a very diverse Chinese philosophy, but in this presentation we focus mainly on three mainstream, which are Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, which were listed by Confucius, Lao Tzu, and the Buddha respectively. And another part is about the theoretical science. In this presentation, theoretical science shall be defined as the attempt to apply the scientific logic from existing scientific laws. This is a definition from the University of Southern California, and it can simply interpret as there is a base or even some fundamental elements to apply for application. It sounds familiar. It is kind of similar to the yin-yang and five-element theory. So in this, and there is application like the medicinal practices, as the acupuncture and observations taught in the lecture. And in this presentation, we will talk about the three philosophy mentioned about whether it has relationship between the yin-yang theory and whether it hidden or even promote the theories. And this move on to the Confucianism part.
So I will talk about the relationship between Confucianism and the theoretical science. And first of all, Confucianism, 儒家, is an ancient Chinese philosophy system. It is originated by Confucius, also known as Master Kong, in the spring and autumn period. That is about the 5th century BC. And Confucius was a great Chinese teacher and philosopher who had a lot of students, and he spread his philosophical ideas to them. And this Confucianism was later developed by Mencius and Sun Tzu, and here you can see a portrait of Confucius. So the central idea of Confucianism is humanitarianism. That means it is about to care for others and be kind to others. Also, Confucian ideas emphasize on the maintenance of ethics and the cultivation of virtue. And Confucius believes that humans can be improved or perfected by some communal endeavor. One of the major works of Confucianism is the Analects, 论语. It contains the conversation between Confucius and his students. According to Confucianism, there are 5 important virtues of humans. They are the xiao, filial piety, xia, justice, ren, benevolence, zhong, loyalty, and li, propriety. For the loyalty, it means we should be faithful to our government or our nation. And for li, propriety, it means that we should respect for the rituals and be polite to others. And we have found that these 5 virtues have a relationship with the 5 elements. For example, if we have to attain zhong, we have to be persistence and rigidity, and it is similar to the metal. And for water, it represents the when we are in old age, we have more wisdom, and so it's corresponds to Li. And we also found that since Confucianism proposed that we should have control for everything, it is in the Yang attribute, and for Taoism, for doing nothing, it is in the Yin attribute, Yin section of the Taiji Tu. For the I Ching, is the Book of Changes. It's one of the oldest Chinese classic texts, and also one of the 5 Confucian classics. And it incorporated the ideas of Confucianism, and also included the yin-yang theory and the hexagrams. And for conclusion, since some characteristics of Confucianism remain in the theoretical science, we conclude that Confucianism has left room for theoretical science. And now it is time for the Taoism.
So let me talk about some aspects relating to the Taoism. And Taoism can be said to be found by Laozi and Zhuangzi. And the concept of Tao is the key major components for Taoism. And it can be classified into 3 Tao. Like the first is the human Tao, is something like the guidance given by other human beings. And then it's the Tian Tao, and also called the natural Tao, which is something like the physical laws and such things. And lastly is the great Tao, which is relating to the history of the universe from the past till now and then to the future. So, in brief, the meaning of Tao is like the ways of changes, and it's often associated with water, and many metaphors were made with them. So, to say how human live in Tao is just like fish living in water. And what the similarities between Tao and water is that water takes no shape, and then just like different kinds of rivers joining together to form a sea. So one of the classics for Taoism is called the Tao De Jing, and in this classics, some aspects of cosmology were mentioned, such as this statement saying that from the Tao we produce 1, and then from 1 produces 2, 2 produces 3, and 3 produces everything. Which is kind of like statements relating to how the universe, how everything is created. So, how this concept of Tao are relating to the theoretical science, and we have to look more on the other concept called Wei. And Wei is more famous in a slogan called Wu Wei. And Wei means that something done by humans, some kind of action. So usually it's viewed in a more pessimistic sense that Wu Wei just discourages human intervention on nature and its action behind. Well, actually it's not true. Well, in a more optimistic sense, Wu Wei encourages or advises us to live in harmony with the nature. And it's also can be said as a kind of action which is long-acting. And more importantly, Wu Wei encourages observation, which is a very key step in the theoretical science. And in a practical sense of Taoism, we have to look at the alchemy aspect. So in alchemy, which have the strongest impact during the Ming and Song dynasty. And what's characteristics of alchemy in Taoism is that it includes the manual work. Unlike other philosophies, they usually don't have some hands-on experiment. Well, experiment also is important in theoretical science. And for example, during the experimentation of making chemicals like with mercury or something, gunpowder were also invented. So, in short, we also find that Taoism also left room for the theoretical science. And let's go on with the Buddhism.
Buddhism is also a very important part of the Chinese philosophy, and I'm going to talk about 2 concepts behind Buddhism which are very similar to the yin-yang theory and the 5-element theory. The first one is the samsara, is the repeating cycle of birth, life, and death, and this cycle will repeat forever if one cannot achieve nirvana, which is the enlightenment in Buddhism. And when you look at the yin-yang, these 2 yin and yang represent two opposing and complementary elements, and life and death can be one of them, with yang representing life and yin representing death. And according to Louis Francis, in a journal about the genesis of the yin-yang symbol, it's actually say that this circular symbol is rotating clockwise. So, concluding these two concepts and look at this animation, we can see that this yin-yang logo is actually representing what samsara is about. And the next concept is the 12 nidanas. It's talking about 12 dependent originations, which are the 12 processes leading one to rebirth. And these 12 processes are in a specific order from ignorance to rebirth. And this dependent relationship is just exactly the same as the 5 elements. This 5 element enhances and suppresses each other in a specific order. And when we look at these two concepts, they are very similar in terms of their dependent relationship. And I want to talk about example about this Buddhist monk Yixin. He was a Buddhist monk in Tang Dynasty and was sent by the Tang Dynasty to do an astronomical survey. And during the survey, he has constructed the Dayan, Canada, and he was the first to describe the proper motion of the star. So we can see that one's philosophical view did not prevent or stop him from doing science research. And so we can say that Buddhism has actually left room for the theoretical science. And lastly, I want to end my part with a quote from Dalai Lama. He said that if science proves some belief of Buddhism wrong, then Buddhism will have to change. And in my view, science and Buddhism share a search for truth and for understanding reality. So we can see that Buddhism and science are actually related, and Buddhism has no reasons and no ways to stop science from developing.
Okay, to be concluded, both free philosophy and the investigation shows low hindrance on theoretical science, and Confucianism and Buddhism even promote yin-yang theory in their classics. So, Chinese philosophy has left room for theoretical science. Thank you.